Today's lesson is 4.4, polygons in the coordinate plane, and I'm on page 176 in the textbook. Okay, today we are going to calculate the lengths of line segments in the coordinate plane. Our key idea is going to be finding distances in the first quadrant today. We're not talking about any line segments that might go from quadrant 1 to 2 or from 1 to 4. We're just talking about the first quadrant. So you can find the length of a horizontal or vertical line segment in the coordinate plane by using the coordinates of its endpoints. If the x-coordinates are the same, the vertical distance between the points is going to be the difference in the y-coordinates. The same is also true if the y-coordinates are the same. If the y is the same, then we want to find the difference between the x-coordinates to find the length of the line segment. Now, one thing that it is always important to remember is you need to subtract the lesser coordinate from the greater coordinate. Remember, start with the bigger number, subtract the smaller number. Okay, so here's an example on the grid here. Okay, if I first take a look at the red line, if you'll notice, both of the x-coordinates are the same. In both cases, the dots go over 4. The difference between them are the y-coordinates. One of them is 4, 1. The other coordinate is 4, 4. So if I subtract the coordinates, it's going to give me a length of 3 for my line segment. Okay, the same is also true in our other example. For the blue line, in this case, both of the y-coordinates are 6. So the first dot is going to be a coordinate of 3, 6. The second dot is a coordinate of 6, 6. So in this case, since the y's are the same, I'm just going to subtract the x-coordinates. 6 minus 3 is 3. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, Mrs. Heben, I can just count the squares. And in this case, it is true. If the lines are on a coordinate plane and they follow exactly along the lines of the grids, then you can count squares. Sometimes, though, you might be given dimensions and it may not have the grid behind it. Okay, in our next example, we're going to talk about finding the perimeter and finding the vertices of the rectangle, drawing the rectangle given the vertices. So in this first example here, you'll notice they gave us the coordinates of 1, 6, 7, 6, 7, 2, and 1, 2. And then they drew the rectangle in the coordinate plane. It is very important to remember that the first number in the coordinate pair always represents the x-axis. First number is the x-axis, and the second number is the y-axis. So the length of the horizontal distance between F16 and G76, what we're talking about right here, F16 and G76 is this line right here. And the length of that line is the difference between the x-coordinates. If I take 7 and subtract 1, I get 6. Now, the width is going to be the distance between G and H. So I'm talking about this right here, between G and H. This time, we're finding the difference in the x-coordinates, in the y-coordinates, because both of the x-coordinates are 7. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So when I put my measurements on my grid, I know that the length is 6, the width is 4, and when you're finding the perimeter, remember opposite sides in a rectangle are always going to be the same. So in this case, I'm going to do 2 times 6 plus 2 times 4, and we can find the perimeter of 20 units. So in this case, not only did we find the perimeter, but we took the 4 coordinates, put the dots on our coordinate plane and connected the dots in order to form a polygon on the coordinate plane.